Oh, you did that intro thing? Yeah, that worked. How many times is this song replayed? We're at that many? Okay. It's a short song. It is. Yeah. But we're gonna. You wanna stop it now? You wanna go? You don't hear me talking? You don't think it's? I can't even hear myself think with all this. Thank you. Holy Lord, man. Dude, when I say stop it, just stop it. Okay. It's, that's what this means. I'm not saying to slit my throat. I'm saying to stop, to cut the music. That's what that means. Jeez Louise, dude. Okay. How's everybody doing? What's up? Kevin's messing stuff up again, as always. He's being weird. Not as weird as Weirdo. Hey, Weirdo. How you doing? So, pretty goddamned. We'll put it that way. But all right, so we're gonna start with this. I wasn't going to, but then I got distracted actually watching Fundie Tube and being like, wow, like actually, as if I'm not just watching it thinking these people are crazy, but I mean they're covering stuff that I haven't, heard about yet because this is all the YouTube I watch these days. But whatever. So we're gonna learn about this stuff through the eyes of a crazy person. Now, Ruslan's not that bad, but he's not great. Still really annoying. Anyway, apparently all these Epstein files, whatever they have, they didn't leak, but they let him out finally. They let him out of the pasture to play, and I mean, and apparently there's already a bunch of problems with them because they clearly redacted a bunch of stuff, but they forgot to take out victims' faces and stuff in some of them and victims' names and and it's that's the whole reason you were supposedly holding on to these damn things for so long was that you had to get all the victims' names out, but it's clearly that's not what's going on. Clearly they're just getting Trump out of these files here. So but here we go. Well, I'll let Ruslan explain it. We can go from there.
Okay, so over the weekend, it really hit the fan because they finally released an additional 3 million files regarding the Epstein files. And boy, there's some shockers in there. I mean, everyone's in the Epstein files. I'm talking about Jay-Z, Pusha T, Elon Musk.
Look, that was somebody with my exact face and my name, but that's not.
And Donald Trump. Now,
I'm just kidding. I'm not. That would be crazy though. It's the doppelganger, and his name's also Brent. It's weird. It's weird. A second Brentley. It's not me though. Okay, I gotta stop wearing flat caps. That's it.
To be fair, Trumpist came out and threatened to sue Trevor Noah because he cracked a joke about him at the Grammys. The joke was more or less about Trump wanting to be on Epstein's island. Now, of course,
how does somebody? Why do you want to be president, man? If you can't handle comedians making jokes about you at media events and stuff like the Grammy media events, is that right? Whatever, award shows and shit. Why are you president? We need somebody with a little bit thicker skin. Jesus.
These are all allegations. However, I did want to cover some of this sort of stuff because it's pretty wild if our president and our elite oligarchy class or whoever they are were a part of all these crazy PDF activities that are absolutely disgusting.
That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland, which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. So, I told you it's my last year.
And of course, here is the president's response to Trevor Noah. The Grammy Awards are the worst, virtually unwatchable. CBS is lucky not to have this garbage.
It's so weird to hear him trying to read this in a normal human voice. And it's even still, I still managed to hear it in Trump's deranged voice.
Litter their airwaves any longer. The host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is
whoever that is. I don't even know him. Never even heard of him. Clearly not popular.
Almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the Low Ratings Academy.
The Low Ratings Academy. Good one, man. nailed it. Just, high five yourself on that one, bud.
The pettiness of Trump is so crazy. Noah said incorrect.
Even he is like the pettiness of the president that he supports.
About me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong. I can't speak for Bill, but I have never been to Epstein Island nor anywhere close.
Dude, there's like before the Epstein Files released, there were the Epstein emails that were released, and those demonstrated that Trump had been on the island. Not only had he been on the island, he spent hours with one of the victims on his island alone. He and the victim were alone on Epstein's island. So not only is he just blatantly lying, like there's evidence that he not only was there, but was like engaged in sick, disgusting behavior whilst being there.
And until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there, not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser, better get his facts.
Yeah, no, just proven to be there by the actual emails, the file, like not any new, like fake news, whatever. Like it's just you were in the emails, dude. From the
tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there, not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser, better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to.
He is so wow, dude. It almost shows his guilt. I feel like this shows his guilt because, like, when the hell does he care about people saying shit about him? You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't care usually until it's true. Then he gets all indignant about it. Like, half the time he's like, fake news, whatever. But this, he's so angry, he's going to sue him over this. And he's going to lose because there's so much evidence.
Sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty of money. Gosh darn it. Ask little George Stephanopoulos.
You need to stop allowing billionaires to sue people just willy-nilly. That needs to be a new crime. If you're a billionaire trying to sue somebody because they said something, go fuck yourself.
And others, how that all worked out. Also,
go to jail. Bubba can F them when they're in jail.
CBS, get ready. Noah, I'm going to have some fun with you, President Donald J. Trump. Okay,
what?
So that's
who does this, dude? I'm gonna have some fun with you, President Donald J. Trump. Oh my God, how weird. Ask little George and others how that all worked out. This is so weird, dude. This dude's completely senile. Our president, his brain has left the building. Holy shit.
It's pretty intense, right, to say this. Now, we're going to look at a clip. The file's basically well organized in a way that I can kind of get through them. This is upper echelon. I found this video extremely helpful. So I want to highlight some of the stuff he got out of the files. But it's important to note, these are all alleged. These are all allegations, okay? And there's a lot of stuff in here. He doesn't go over the Jay-Z stuff, the Pusha T randomly being in here. And again, these are allegations, and a lot of this stuff is like anonymous tips that came in, some of which...
Well, Pusha T is like one of the overlords of the Illuminati. Yeah, he's a lizard person. A lot of people don't know that.
Were, found not credible, some of which were found credible. I don't know. And the worst in here is potential torture stuff. Okay, so let's look at some of the
potential. There's some torture. Jesus, man. What? What? What?
These things that came.
So it turns out House of 1,000 Corpses is also on Epstein's island. Crazy. Yeah, both mansions are on the same island.
In that he compiled for us. So again, big shout out to Upper Echelon for putting this together.
Here we go. Item number 1, which is actually 2 documents in this case, EFTA 01660679 and EFTA 016.
And there's 3 6s in there, so this has got to be, you know what I mean? You can't have there's 3 6s just hanging out in a series of random numbers and have it not be tied to actual Satanists.
0651. These documents show a collection of insane allegations against Donald Trump. These come from the NTOC, National Threat Operations Center at the FBI, which is where they process and vet public tips. And some of them are very obviously marked as not credible. Others are flagged as no contact made after attempting to follow up.
And then there's the thing. There's a lot of these that are from like tips and stuff that are just, that aren't, obviously they're not credible. They're just people calling and saying that something is true. But of course, this is a spot where, they didn't take Trump out.
With the caller. But here and there, you start finding that some of these reports resulted in a, quote, lead being sent to conduct interviews.
Okay, so this is the stuff specifically about Trump. Some not credible, apparently some leads. It is no secret that once upon a time, Trump and Epstein were friends. Trump, of course, claims that he cut him off after...
Like really close friends, like enough to be getting birthday cards that are really weird and suggestive.
He got weird with a girl at Mar-a-Lago, I think 20 years ago or something like that.
Bullshit. No, incorrect, sir. That's the cover story.
So if he was involved or not involved, I can't speak to it with certainty, but
he was involved. Okay, lots of involvement here. I don't know about like from the tip lines or whatever, but like they're just, he's the president. Like it's his crew, like sorting through this. His cult is sorting through this stuff and deciding what should be let out to the public. So of course, and that's why it's taken so long. Because like I said, they're like accidentally still leaving in victims and stuff. But because they're not even paying attention to that as much. They're just like, oh yeah, and also take that out. But like the main thing is take out all the Trump stuff because he's clearly in here a lot.
There seems to be some credible stuff in here, which if you've been following Trump, he's had tons and tons and tons of allegations about him over decades. That wouldn't surprise me if he was involved with this sort of stuff. I'm not saying that.
Listen to how he has to. This is what I'm saying, dude. Like part of me thinks that like he hates that Ruslan hates that he's like so close to like the ultra white nationalist psychos that that watches his content, because so much of this Christian right-wing content are those people. But listen how he has to like, I can't say one way or the other. But it wouldn't surprise, I will say what I'm about to say, which is it wouldn't surprise me, but I can't say, because he doesn't want to like lose half of his audience that are insane MAGA supporters,
With certainty, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me, okay?
Obviously, I can't comment on the authenticity of these allegations overall, but there's something else I found interesting, something far more important in my mind that speaks to the credibility of the DOJ, the Department of Justice itself, and their decision-making when it came to these redactions. Look at these two documents, separate files, sure, but not always different content. Quote, complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate blank, and then it's all redacted. However, this file isn't. The rest of the sentence says, quote, incidents involving police which requested in mandatory psychiatric evaluations. End quote.
That's really interesting. Now, some of this stuff goes back years.
Whoops. So they left one in, like somebody. So somebody left one in, and then they're like, maybe we should take out the stuff about, the cops that are insane. Maybe we should take that out, maybe blur that out. So it's just like already they're telling on themselves that they're not, they're not taking out the stuff they should be taking out. They're taking out things that they think they don't want put out to people because of their propaganda.
Some of this stuff was called in around election time. Again, I don't know how much of this stuff is credible, but he is in there. And remember what Elon said. Trump was delaying the release of these files because he did not want to be because he was in them. That was what Elon's tweet was. And then
well, as long as Elon says so. Although I do think he's right about that. And mainly because he was jealous that he wasn't allowed to go. Because he's freaking all the girls out, man. He can't be chill. He can't be chill. No, I think actually that's what it is that I was going to say, oh, he's too weird. He's weirding out the girls, but we're talking about a PDF file island. Everybody's weirding out the girls. What are you talking about? But the thing is, for why they didn't let him go, he can't keep his mouth shut to save his goddamn life. I mean, he couldn't even keep his mouth shut about Trump being in the Epstein file. So that's why he was not invited. And he was so mad and so indignant about that. That's why he went and said that shit about Trump. Plus, was a true believer, I guess, when it came to like the Doge, like making government cuts and stuff or whatever, and ended up being like, no, we're just trying to save money so we can give the cuts to the billionaires and still have a semi-functioning country.
They fought and then they broke up and then they got back together. I don't know.
After they broke up and got back together, they're like oh my God, they're like Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. Did they get back together? I don't remember. Did they? Was that the other one? Who was the other lady? The Tomb Raider lady. Was she in Tombstone? You know what? We're getting all over the place.
Right there, although small in a vacuum, is the very first example in a massive, massive pattern. A pattern where the DOJ is redacting things that make no sense. Things that they have no legal right to withhold.
And the DOJ really fumbled in releasing multiple names of Jane Does that were victims that did not want their name in this sort of stuff. So that
because they don't know what the hell they're doing, man. They're led by podcasters and shit. They have no clue what the hell is happening right now, like at all. They've got no clue how anything works. The dude that's in charge of the entire executive branch doesn't know how the hell anything works.
That's a pretty big L for the DOJ.
And things that may in fact matter a great deal, we just don't really have the ability to know because we don't have the full picture.
Jolie, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, that lady. Did she get back? Did they break up and get back? I can't remember.
Example, they literally redacted the word none in this file. And you can straight up read some of the other redactions because they're not centered properly.
It's like they're not even trying. It's like they're just like, we just got to make this page look like something's been redacted. Like they're just trying. It's like a teen or whatever that's like trying to prove that he did his homework or something. And it's just like, well, I just got to show that there's some writing on this page or whatever.
It's a joke.
Jesus.
In between the spreadsheets and the accusations, we have emails in August of 2025. But the thing about these emails is that here we can see that they clearly acknowledge redacting a reporter's name who explicitly is not a victim, Anthony Sibeli, I think is how you say it, while also on one of the sheets failing to redact an actual potential victim name, Leslie McMichael, in a further display of incompetence.
Yeah.
Like I said previously, the video isn't focused solely on...
Yeah, they suck, man. I don't know why I voted for this. Oh, that's right. Because I've been manipulated by the concept of abortion because, black and white thinking. That's why.
Trump. But we're looking at well over 5,000 mentions of his name. And that's only the searchable portions of the archive that they've indexed, which hasn't even all been released so far.
When these things were supposed to be...
What is this, like a soft release? This is a soft open here. They're going to be like, look what people do with this. See if anybody notices all this. See if anybody notices all their mistakes on these 3 million or whatever the fuck. And then you're like, they did notice. Man, these people are good. They actually read like all the papers. They read through all that stuff. Fuck. Wow. We're going to have to like actually work and stuff. Shit. Can we get the AI to like just tell the AI? I wonder if that's almost why. Like they're just like, what, the AI didn't get all that? What the hell, AI? Just go report to disciplinary action. How do we do disciplinary stuff with AI? This sucks. This is difficult.
Coming out, I think what people were expecting was a client list and the blackmail that Epstein had on these different people.
Yeah, that's not coming out, dude. That will never be released unless some like crazy hacker group gets a hold of it or something.
There was more pictures released of Epstein running around with little girls and all kinds of weirdo, just gross behavior. Then there was allegations that presidents were involved, specifically Bill Clinton. Then there was allegations that he could have been an agent for Israel trying to get blackmail. So all of this is up in the air with regards to what is and isn't happening with these documents. Okay, so now Elon Musk. Remember, Elon Musk said,
God. Look at his face. He just looks scary as hell. He looks like a serial unaliver PDF file freak.
Gazelle Maxwell photobombed a photo of him. He doesn't know them. He never went. And then there's some
weird. It's like, hey, don't be calling it people like that. I don't want to be in the same group with those weirdos. We need a distinction between weirdos. Okay.
Pretty bad.
You're one of the good ones. It's okay. You and me. I'm a weirdo too, but we're holding the good guy weirdo fort down ourselves, I think.
Emails of him asking to go and party at the island, even though he maybe never went to the island.
Long maintained his near total separation from Epstein. He claims that the photograph of him and Ghislaine Maxwell is just a photobomb that she perpetrated, and he had no idea about it.
Right.
He claims that he was invited to Epstein Island but refused, and he desperately lashes out at anyone who insinuates otherwise over the past several months. Quote, "Shame on Sky News for this utterly misleading headline. Anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt. Epstein tried to get me."
It was Elon Musk and Prince Andrew named in latest Epstein Files release. Yeah, but I mean, I from what I understand, a lot of the files and stuff were them saying they don't want him to be there.
To go to his island, and I refused.
Okay, so that on the surface seems like a lie if the emails are verified. In the same sense, it would seem that Trump could have technically never been to Epstein Island, yet he comes up a lot of this a lot. And
Weird. It's almost as if he's being dishonest. I know. Something Trump never does is be dishonest.
Just allegations and crazy people or Democratic operatives trying to take down the election, or is there credibility to some of these claims? And maybe he was never at the island. Maybe neither of these guys remember the island, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't strong overlap. And they were very friendly. And Epstein was the guy to scoop up women, young girls specifically, for the ruling elite class, regardless on perhaps Elon and Trump never being there on the island.
Yet they named me even before Prince Andrew did.
Cool. Yeah, he's trying to be objective here. Yeah, no, Trump was on the island. Get the fuck. We know that. We know that for a fact from the emails.
Visit. End quote. Strong words, very defensive, but it turns out that we actually have emails between Musk, Epstein, and Leslie Groff, one of Epstein's assistants, reading, quote, Elon to Epstein, "Will be in the BVI/St. Bart's area over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit?" End quote. That's a little bit curious given his proclamations that Epstein invited him to the island, but let's read on.
Yeah, so basically it comes out that Elon asked multiple times to go party at the island. He was nearby, and Epstein was actually the one who had to cancel on him and then invited him to something else, and he wasn't able to make it. So
yeah, he wanted to be there so bad, and he couldn't. Because they're like, that guy talks way too much, dude. There's no way he's not going to be flapping his gums about this.
You can do with that what you will. Maybe they were never at the island, but there was some interest in partying with Epstein from Elon at the least.
Now,
right?
And now Elon's trying to take it the other direction. I actually didn't want to go. So all those emails of me begging to be let into the parties and such stuff, those are the fake parts.
Epstein replies, "Any day, 1st to 8th. Play it by ear if you want. Always space for you." After which Elon says, "Okay, probably the 1st then." They correspond back and forth a bit longer, but anyone who reads this conversation can decidedly say with certainty that Epstein was not asking Elon to go to his island. Elon was trying to go.
Right. And that's the deceptive part with him saying that over and over. Okay, then there's Bill Gates. Okay.
With him saying that over and over. Him lying. He's lying. Because that's what he's doing. He lies. They lie.
Okay, this is by far the biggest bombshell. Okay, in the Bill Gates, apparently Bill Gates was there, and this contributed to his divorce. And in that, he caught an STD for one of these Russian girls, and this is just the grossest stuff, man. And
this is just the grossest stuff. The STDs gotcha, huh? That's the gross part. Not the PDF file stuff though. That's normal at this point, right? We're just so goddamn desensitized, aren't we? Holy Lord. But the disease that's bothersome to him. Jesus. I mean, this one was really, well, it is sick. Don't get me wrong. Of course it is, but it's just like, it feels weird when they're like getting so worried about that when all this other shit is in there too.
And try to get his wife to take the medicine for the STD without her knowing. And all of this is used as seemingly blackmail from Epstein.
The second I walked in the door, he was...
Yeah, so basically, yeah, Bill Gates, what was it? Yeah, Bill Gates went there, got an STD, and then I think what this is, because everybody's like, wait a second, you couldn't afford, because he needed to get the, the medication to help with the STD or whatever. And everybody's like, wait a second, why the hell Bill Gates doesn't have access to a doctor that can give him a prescription to that? But here's the thing, and I think we can all agree that we've seen this behavior from all the billionaires that we've ever seen behave at all is they're petty as all fucking get out. And he blamed, I bet you money, Bill Gates blamed Epstein for that. You know what I mean? He blamed him for getting the STDs. Like, no, I'm not. And they're like, what? You know, just go to a different doctor. Get the no. He needs to fix this. It's his fault. He needs to fix this. Okay, this is he needs to be checking his whatever the hell, you know, or checking the people that go to his island, whatever the hell. Jesus Christ, I was sick. But yeah, and then he wanted to slip the medications into his like wife's drinks and shit. Like, what the fuck? Wow, these people, dude.
Abhorrent. He was evil personified. My heart breaks for those women, end quote. At various times afterwards, she heavily insinuates that association with Epstein was one of the factors behind their entire divorce.
This is Bill Gates' wife.
And if I had to speculate here, I would say that sharing secrets with Epstein and trying to sneak her antibiotics could hypothetically have caused a marriage to crumble. Jumping over to an entirely...
Well, if it didn't, then it definitely wouldn't now. So I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it's better that it's over already, because it would absolutely end here now. The poor lady. I bet she's getting harassed by so many like journalists and stuff, or independent journalists. Just people with computers.
Separate but distinctly kind of related topic. Theories have been circulating for many, many years that Epstein was an agent of Israeli intelligence, Mossad. And this document right here, a CHS report, confidential human source, directly claims that Donald Trump...
This is like not being able to turn away from a train wreck. Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is basically like the file dump train wreck, if I've ever seen one. I honestly, and apparently I haven't checked in on this, but like I guess it's like free to anybody can go like just sift through these damn things if you want to. Not that I do, but that's so wild.
Trump and Alan Dershowitz as well were co-opted and compromised by Israel.
So it's important to note these are claims, they're allegations, but they're not just random crazy people calling in and saying these things. There could be some validity to these things with regards to this organization. And he's going to unpack this for us.
I think it's worth noting that confidential human source intelligence is not a public tip line.
Right.
It's a cultivated agency source working directly with the FBI prior to that point in time.
Right.
It's not an agent or an employee. It's a source, which doesn't necessarily mean it's true, by the way, but it's not a random phone call. Right. This is a significantly elevated level of intelligence gathering far beyond just anonymous tips. Still, as with practically every single other document, the DOJ and the FBI, I guess, appear to be breaking the law. Looking at this right here, we can see Harry Tenosodenbio, however the fuck you say that. That name is clearly visible right here. But then redacted.
Yeah, the redaction on this was terrible. Terrible.
It's AI, dude. They're not doing the redactions. It's just AI and lazy AI, it seems. You know, because they're just blacking out nonsense at this point. They're just like, that page looks like somebody did something to it, right? Okay, there we go. Next. Don't care. I'm a robot. Let's move on here. Don't care.
Really fumbled bad on how they laid this out. Now, by far the most egregious part is this idea of torture and just utterly deplorable stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I am alarmed by this, and this is gross stuff.
I am alarmed, and is the sound that I make whilst being alarmed. And that's me alarmed right here. Yeah, that.
Here's another troubling exchange. Email from Epstein to an unknown individual. Quote, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video."
What were these people into? Apparently
torture videos. It's right there, dude.
All the, they're out here torturing humans, and human sacrifice stuff is real.
To which the unknown person...
I mean, like, I don't know what they're talking about specifically there. But it's, as somebody who is into pain and stuff when it comes to that kind of stuff, I don't know what he means by like torture, because like that could be, well, like actual, given who these people are, it's probably that. But I'm just like, are we just talking about dominatrix stuff and they're just calling it the torture? I don't know. Some of that stuff is pretty close to torture,
Replies that they're in China. Epstein then says, "Hope to see you." Alarmingly, that's not even the only mention of torture, because in September of 2011, we have these emails between a man named Tancredi Marchiolo and Epstein, in which Epstein says, quote, "What would you like me to do with your friend? Do you want me to try to do her or just torture her?" Tancredi Salvatore Marchiolo, as far as I can tell, is a hedge fund guy, formerly a partner at Bremner Capital, and now potentially working at a place called Harbor V Limited as a director after using a slightly different name in the filings.
It's weird. It reminds me of those like movies and stuff. There's always these movies where they have like robots or something. Like, what was the one? Damn it, I can't think of the name of it. It had that Jane guy in it. So that played the Punisher, right? Anyway, damn it, I can't think of the name of it. But like they always have it like where it's like robots or like cyborgs or whatever. And they're these sex robots. And then they have like their memory wiped or whatever. But people always end up like torturing them and stuff. And it's like, I always thought that was strange, you know, that they're doing that to like, they want to do that to robot or like Westworld, like the show Westworld. You're like, what the, like, why do people want to do this? That's so strange. But I guess like, you know, people are saying, oh, they're base urges or like the worst urges you could possibly have. So, so now that I'm, you know, thinking about probably not the dominatrix stuff. Now I'm thinking about it.
Entirely sure who this guy is, but he shows up a lot in these files directly with Epstein, like well over 1,000 mentions. Going on a bit of a tangent right now, some people may not be fully
1,000 mentions
aware of the scope here. This isn't just Epstein and a few friends, and I care more about these other policies. This is a collection of the richest and most powerful people in the entire world who enabled and perpetuated the abuse for years.
Yeah, and this is the elite class, if you will, and they were into some really dark stuff, and it is really sad in terms of how many people were involved in this, how many people were participating in this sort of stuff, how many people had to have been complicit. It's also wild to think a guy like Elon Trump, that well, specifically Elon, who was friendly with Epstein after his sweetheart deal when he was, you know, convicted of some stuff and had to go to prison for, I think, 12 months or 13 months. And the connection after the fact, Elon was connected to Epstein, or at least emailing with him in 2012, 2013. And I think Epstein's conviction for PDF activities and this sort of stuff, trafficking, was in 2008, 2009. Okay. And there's a lot of dark emails.
That's what's so freaky to me, man, that nobody seems to be putting this shit together. And then I'm going to move away from this because I don't feel like talking about this anymore. But the fact that nobody seems to be putting it together, that like Trump is clearly implicated in this human trafficking stuff. And then he's simultaneously obsessed with having his little personal Gestapo army go and disappear people who are literally missing from databases of in their little camps and stuff, like their alligator Auschwitz, whatever. Like people are just missing from those places, and these are people that are clearly into human trafficking stuff, and their whole bag right now is going through places like Minnesota and kidnapping people, and nobody's putting this together. That like, hey, you know, I don't know. I feel like this stuff could be related. I mean, it's just, I don't know. This is freaky, but all right, I'm kind of done talking about this. This is like gross and like weird, and it's kind of hard to like have a sense of humor about this kind of shit because it's not funny at all. But God, and that's the main thing too that's been coming up so much. This is the other thing about like when it reminds me of like when the studies and stuff were coming out because of like with COVID and everything, and they had all the public studies, and you had all these tinfoil hat morons going through and like misunderstanding all the studies, and they would like make their little YouTube videos of like misunderstanding now so that like lots of people can misunderstand the studies and everything. And they're doing basically the same thing, it seems, with these Epstein files. They're just going through and looking for anything they can to like validate their beliefs that it's a satanic cabal where they're eating faces and shit. And it's just absurd. It's nonsense. But they're, you know, and every single claim that I've seen I've like looked up, tried to verify like the source and the context and everything like that, and it's always like some clerical error or like one of the tip lines where it's just like somebody called it in and that's it. Anyway, all right, what was I going to look at? Oh yeah, so there's a couple actually we could look at. There was, I've got to like, I'm kind of curious about this one. How progressives manipulate emotions to control debate. Okay, that's it. The progressives are the ones that manipulate emotions. Jesus. But then, hold on. This is what I'm saying. See, this is what I've been like looking at. All this stupid shit. It's all this conspiracy nonsense. Even this lady's like getting in on it. Where'd it go? Oh, they got him like trying to do a new argument for God, which is kind of funny. He's like trying so hard to create a new argument for God's existence that has never been tried before. It's an odd thing to do, I think. But and then we got this one. So Derek McAllister is this guy who has debated a couple different people, one of which is Godless Engineer. He came on Godless Engineer's, I think, TikTok at some point, and they had a dialogue, and then he made videos about it and stuff. And we covered one of them here, but he went on to try to talk to Justin, and I haven't watched like any of it. He is a philosophy professor or whatever, so gonna get a lot of that philosophy bro stuff. But yeah, and then there's also apparently there's a Ray Comfort, of course, that we could check out too. So I love it. It's like 100%, 100% on the first yes. That's funny. Not on the second yes. Okay, but I don't know, so I kind of want to watch this one. What do y'all think? Because empathy is sinful. Because is that the emotional debate thing? Let's start with that, because this one's really long, right? So let's do this second. We'll look at this one after. It's like 6 months old too, so apologies if you've already seen it. But I am really curious what she's going to say about progress
as we are navigating the chaos.
Manipulating people with emotionally manipulating people. Like, if you're pro quote unquote life or pro forced birth, you do not ever get to say that other people are emotionally manipulative. You literally are calling people like baby, schmurderers or whatever, even though you have to redefine what schmurder is and redefine what babies are in order to be able to say that. That's insane. That's incredible to be able to say something like that. And that is actually accurate. Just not giving birth is schmurder to these people.
Us of this world, we have to remember, as Christians, we are called to be agents of order and agents of clarity.
That is so funny. And yet they vote for people like Trump, who are just not ordered, I would say, at all.
We have the opportunity, when things are crazy outside, to be a refuge of strength and truth. And so one thing that I really like to do, I like
truth being just whatever they decide their religious beliefs are. That's it.
Might be a strong word. One thing that I think is necessary for me to do is to look at some of the most prominent claims that you are seeing, especially on Instagram, especially from people who are identifying as progressive Christians, and then rebut them using logic and using scripture.
Yeah, right. Highly doubt she's going to use logic, but let's hear it.
I will say, in some way, this is one of my favorite things to do. And that is why I thoroughly enjoyed my 3-hour debate on Jubilee, one conservative Christian versus 20 supposedly liberal Christians talking about all of these things. It's kind of what I do on a daily basis. And I found when I was in that setting that this is a lot like doing my podcast. And you guys always appreciate when I kind of give you the tools to say, when someone says this, this is how you respond. So that
Listen to how she says it too. It's so amazing. And these are the people that think they think for themselves. And they're like, when somebody says this, here's what you say word for word. Do not deviate from my script. Don't try to understand anything and actually like respond based on your own belief system or anything. No, say these words in response. This is the response. Like, holy shit.
That's what we are going to be doing today. Progressives are really good at emotionally evocative language. They are really good at using scripture in such a way that arrests your thinking and emotionally manipulates you into supporting their position, into believing that being progressive means being a good person, means being Christ-like, and being on the other side of that is scary and wrong and bad. So I want to give you the words to be able to support why you believe what you believe biblically and politically.
I want to be able to tell you why you believe what you believe. It's incredible, dude. And you can see here, she's not saying, I'm just going to explain to you why I believe what I believe and you can do what you want with it. No, she's like, I want to tell you how to know what you believe. It's like, oh my God, dude. Like how do people find this convincing?
Especially when it comes to immigration. So I just want to go through.
What's up, John? How we doing, y'all?
Some of the claims.
Let me say hey to everybody real quick. Let me see who won, since I haven't really done that yet. Let's see. What's up, y'all? Oh, Pandora's been yet. Wow, you've been winning like a lot. Oh, we don't have chat. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't even have the chat up. That's funny. Big and tall. There we go. Okay. Pandora's Pinata won. What's going on? So I don't always join live streams, but when I do, I'm the most interesting person in the chat. Oh, until Ember joins. Okay, that's fair. I was about to say no, not Ember though, but no, they got it. And then Weirdo is second. What's up? How we doing, Weirdo? Oh, I'm early by like 2 minutes, but whatevs. Yep, you were. That's all it takes. Mr. Update said it's 4:20 somewhere. That's why we do our show at 4:20. You know, I figure it'll. It's actually, you know, it makes me feel less. And it makes me feel less self-conscious if I know everybody's high that's watching me. You know what I mean? It's just a way for me to get out of my own way in my head. There you go. All right. Let's see who else is on here. Looks like that's pretty much. Oh, Oceanus Helios. What's up, dude? How we doing? We got Drusilla, of course. What's up, Drusilla? What else we got here? Oh, Big John. How we doing, Big John? And I thought I saw somebody else. Oh, and the other John. Got John and Big John. Not to be confused with one another. But yeah. All right, y'all. Here we go.
Starting with this first claim that I've seen over and over again, that supporting ICE operations or any kind of immigration enforcement is so-called Christian.
That's so weird. Like here, like already she's like conflating stuff as if it made ICE ICE supporting ICE or any kind of immigration enforcement. Those two are not the same thing. Holy shit.
Nationalism. We've talked about Christian nationalism a few times over the years, but we just got to hammer home what this actually means, what our perspective on it should be.
Why would that be Christian nationalism? That's not the part that makes it Christian nationalism. The part that makes it Christian nationalism is when y'all freak out about too many Muslims in an area and be like, Sharia law, but Sharia law. And then meanwhile, you're literally trying to implement your religion into the government so that you have your own Christian nationalist Sharia law. And don't see any problem with it. Which is really strange that it's like they don't understand the consistency sort of thing. Like, you know, if something is like law, it applies to everybody evenly. You don't get to have your religion in here and then have the freedom to practice your religion or whatever, and then get mad at other people for having the freedom to practice their religion. That's the type of Christian nationalist crap that they want to be seen as like a first class citizen for being a Christian. and then literally treat like other people who are non-religious like us, or other lesser prominent faiths, to treat them like they are second-class citizens or even immoral just for being who they are. That would, count as Christian nationalist. Just supporting, like, I don't see how that connects what she's saying here.
Benjamin Kramer, a lot of you guys have sent me his post on Instagram. He's a pastor at the Cathedral of the Rockies. This is a United Methodist Church congregation in Idaho. United Methodist Church split several years ago over the LGBTQ issue.
Over the LGBTQ issue. Just the one. There's this one major issue. Are they evil? And they all disagree about it. What's up, Theo? How we doing, man? Gretchen. Got Gretchen here. What's up, Gretchen? So, and Jasper. Hey, what's going on?
Whether we should honor so-called gay marriage as something that is biblically legitimate.
I guess you don't, given that you called it so-called gay marriage. That is what it is called, though, actually.
He is a very progressive guy. He doesn't talk about in this latest post that is very popular with 143,000 likes on Instagram, ICE specifically, but judging by his other posts and the timing of this is clearly what he is talking about. So this is a post against so-called Christian nationalism. And I'm not going to go through all maybe 20 slides that he put up, but I'll just give you a taste of what he is saying and then I'll respond to it. So
we're just going to respond to the taste of it. I'm not going to go through, I'm not going to show you what he actually said. I'm just going to pick apart the parts that I can use to make it sound like they argue dishonestly, as I'm dishonestly picking apart his slides.
He says Christian nationalism looks like seeing Jesus hanging on the cross and saying he should have just obeyed the law. Christian nationalism, Ben Kramer says, looks like cheering on Pharaoh while condemning Moses for being too political. Christian nationalism, he says, looks like getting outraged at the prophet Nathan.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I guess this is something that they do on Instagram. It's like just cycle through these things.
Nathan for rebuking King David for his horrid sins and telling him God can use a filthy-minded, wealthy man to accomplish good things.
I mean, they do. It's funny because they literally bring up King David constantly when they talk about Trump. They're like, well, David basically unalived the guy, okay, and then got with his wife afterwards, which is pretty bad. That's a bad thing. I feel like you wouldn't want that to happen to you, no matter who you are.
And then the last one that I'll read, although there are quite a few more that you can read on your own. Christian nationalism looks like using the Bible to seek first the power of the empire rather than the self-sacrificial love of Jesus. Christian nationalism looks like worshiping power rather than loving God and our neighbors. Christian nationalism looks nothing like Jesus. So this is a moniker that gets thrown my way a lot. And if you are a conservative Christian, you have probably been told this quite a few times. At this point, why
don't you just disavow Christian nationalism? It's really weird the way that they will not do that. You don't have to be a Christian nationalist, dude. You could say that it's wrong, that it's bad, that you're not that kind of Christian or whatever.
Typically, when someone messages me that, I just respond with sarcasm. I think we learned from Jesus that well-timed sarcasm actually makes a better point sometimes than literalism. Someone called me that the other day, just said, I think you mean you're a Christian nationalist. And I said, oh my gosh, Stephanie, I've changed my mind on everything. Thank you so much. My eyes are opened. Abortion is great and men can become women. It just doesn't work, but I want you to know why it doesn't work. I want you to know why this whole
Jesus Christ, what an idiot. Okay.
Christian nationalist fear-mongering thing should do absolutely nothing for you, and you really shouldn't be afraid.
I thought the whole point of this goddamn video was to show how progressives, what was that again? Manipulate emotions to control debate. And yet all you've managed to do is like this weird nothing, just that you don't like people calling you a Christian nationalist.
Of someone calling you this. Okay, so number one, what is Christian nationalism? We learned from 2020 the importance of defining our term. So what is a Christian? We could define it as those who believe.
I feel like she's like one of those people that like just took one debate class and then she thinks she's an expert, got to go on what's it called, that Juliet, what is it called, Julius, whatever the fuck.
Believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is followers of Jesus of Nazareth, who is God, who is the only way, the only truth, and the only life, the only way to heaven. What is nationalism? Putting the priorities of your nation first. That's literally what that means. What it is not, and this is what progressives seem to think that it is, or how they describe it, it is not believing that America is the chosen nation or the new Israel, that all the prophecies of the Old Testament are fulfilled in America today. And if you are...
Nobody is saying... So it's funny that sure things like we got to define terms, and then we're going to take those terms and then define them in a way that nobody uses them that way. Like, that's, if we're going to talk about, then don't call it that. Like, call it something else. Like, it's so weird. Like, 'cause she's like, no, here's what Christian nationalism is. It's not what literally everybody else means when they use this word. And this is just so they can do, like, just so they can equivocate. They can just change definitions of words so that they don't have to actually have the debate that we over here are having about Christians legislating their religion and making themselves A-class citizens, while everybody else is like second and third class citizens if they're not Christians, and also enforcing their religion, basically making it so that their religion is what defines the law, even if it doesn't hurt anybody or anything like that. Like the type of stuff that would eventually lead to like pentagrams being banned. You go to jail for drawing a shape on a piece of paper. You can go to jail. Shit like that. That's what Christian nationalism is. That's what other people mean, is people legislating their religion.
Someone who is on the right and you do believe that, that's not biblical. But most people who are called Christian nationalists derisively don't believe those things. They are simply...
That's not wowed. What was it again? Oh, that America is the chosen nation, and like Israel, or instead of Israel. No. Oh, that's the other thing. That's a Christian national. That's what I think, maybe, that she's trying really hard to not talk about or something. That the U.S. is a Christian nation, that we were founded on Christian principles, which is false. That's not true. There were, what do you call it? Before the United States was the United States, and some of the colonies wanted them to be, wanted the United States to be a Christian nationalist country, or a Christian country, or whatever. But thank goodness we had intelligent people that, like, nipped that in the bud. So that's why, and I think they could tell that, like, oh no, if we let this happen, everybody's gonna be arguing over literally nothing and spending tons and tons of time and money to, over shit that nobody can demonstrate anybody's more correct than anybody else, because it's all going to be over which version of Christianity should America be. And that's just a big waste of time. And I think Thomas Jefferson could see that shit.
Do believe that that's not biblical. But most people who are called Christian nationalists derisively don't believe those things. They are simply people who are Christians. And so we have Christian values that infiltrate every area of our lives. And we are placed providentially by God in America. So we seek the interests of our country first, as every other country also has the right and responsibility to do.
That's not what anybody means when we use the word Christian. Like, you would just be an American Christian then. That would just be an American Christian. That's not what anybody means when they use that word.
So Christian nationalism for what it really is, and then Christian nationalism for what the progressives say. And then the next question, of course, is Christian nationalism wrong? Well, a Christian believes necessarily by nature that God's ways are better. Why do we believe this? Because of the most controversial verse in the Bible, which I think is Genesis 1:1. In the beginning,
What?
God created the heavens and the earth. Why is that the most controversial? Because if God created all of it, he's the authority over all of it. If he is the authority over all of it, then he gets to say what is and what isn't, what's right and what's wrong, what's good.
Cool. We'll wait for him to do that then. Okay. but you need to shut the hell up because you can't demonstrate that you are saying anything that God even approves of.
What's bad, what's true, what's false, what a woman is, what she's not, what a marriage is, and when life begins. And we really see the answers to all of those things.
Yeah, if you want the when life begins thing, it'd be first breath, since that's there in Genesis as well, when it says he breathed the breath of life into Adam. And breath of life is like a theme throughout the book. So y'all are just being manipulated by right-wingers so that they could get your butts to polls by, doing the fallacy of excluded middle and being like, hey, all or nothing. You're either a full person or, you don't exist at all. So the second you even begin to developing, you're a full person, no matter, just full stop, 100%, and not giving birth is murder. Okay, that's it. Yeah, and if you don't believe that, well, then you're basically a schmurder apologist. So yeah, that's right. But we emotionally manipulate. That's it.
So the very first chapter of the first book of the Bible in Genesis 1:27. And so if you're a Christian and you believe that God's ways are better and you believe that he has the authority over all of it, that is necessarily going to influence your politics. What is a nationalist? A nationalist means that you care about
your... Dude, why don't you work from like, oh my God. So the whole point, God, she's such a dishonest asshole. Like the whole point of like getting the terms correct is that you're both using the same fucking term. And you're literally dividing the word Christian. You're defining the word Christian and nationalist separately, and then trying to put them together so that you could sneak in a false definition. This literally is equivocation. She's changing definitions of words so that it better suits her argument. So she can act like what we mean when we say Christian nationalist is not what she means. Even though she's like secretly trying, like advocating for Christian nationalism, but doing that Christian thing where they try to avoid the actual label of the thing that they actually secretly want to be, like religious. I'm not religious. No, I'm not religious. I don't do, no, dude, I relationship. Okay. I just have a relationship with Jesus. I'm not religious. I hate religious people. Actually, they're stupid. I hate, like, it's so weird the way they are.
Your country the most, that you want to put your interests and your fellow citizens' interests and security number one.
Jubilee. Thank you. What did I say? Julius Caesar. That's right. That's
before the interest and the security of other countries. We read something, want to put your interests and your fellow citizens' interests and security number one, before the interest and the security of other countries.
And you get that by having a bunch of untrained, trigger-happy, masked morons just traipsing over state lines that are unidentifiable, so anybody could just pretend to be an ICE agent and just start shooting people and get away with it.
We read something like this in Jeremiah 27. The Israelites are in exile in Babylon. And God tells them, but seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. And if that was true...
I thought you were against welfare. That's weird. Look, there's the Bible saying that welfare is good. Remember, we get to decide our own definitions. Remember, we can... So yeah, I'm just using my own definition.
Of exiles then, that they should seek the welfare of the city that they're placed in. Surely it is true for Christian exiles here today to seek the welfare of the country, of the city, of the community in which we have been placed.
What the fuck?
Is Christian nationalism wrong?
What the hell are you talking about, dude? It's amazing. Like, why can't you address anything that's like the actual conversation? Like, this is so clearly an obfuscation because she knows that what they want is shitty. And so now they're just doing the thing that's like, oh no, we're just going to pretend like we're just going to lie. We're just going to lie and say we're not actually the thing that we actually are. And I'm just going to redefine all the words that describe us and then say that we aren't those things. Like, what the fuck?
Part of this is that every single person believes their worldview should inform the policies of our country. This is natural. This is inevitable for the atheist, for the agnostic, for the progressive, for the
that's me. I'm all three of those.
Christian, for the conservative. Every single person allows our worldview, the fullness of our belief system to follow us into the voting booth. Don't be fooled into
No. You fucking idiot, dude. No. It's based on the Constitution. If your worldview is that the Constitution is wrong, then fuck off. You don't get to be deciding stuff for other people. Because the funny thing is, the progressives and everything, we allow for them to be able to do their thing, basically their way, without hurting them or stopping them from doing what they want to do at all. We just are stopping them from forcing other people to have to do what they think other people should have to do, even though it's none of their goddamn business, because this is the land of the goddamn free, and not, the land of some people being free to force everybody else to live in according with their weird religion. You're allowed to practice your religion. Nobody's trying to take that away from you. If I were to legislate atheists legislation, I wouldn't be okay, we have to force that nobody's allowed to believe in God or whatever. I would never do that. I want everybody to be free to have their beliefs. I wouldn't take that away from anybody. I'm just trying to protect the beliefs and the lifestyles of other people so that we can all get along here, man. This is not difficult, but you guys don't want to legislate that way.
Believing that you as a conservative Christian are the only person who is not allowed to let your belief system inform your vote. Every other group does this. It's really important to us that you subscribe.
No, we don't. I mean, see, oh my God, and she's almost done. She's such a fucking liar. So she hasn't said anything about progressives using manipulating emotions to control debate. She hasn't said a damn thing about that. What a liar, dude. I know. What is it? No way a Christian lie. You're crazy. Whoa. What?
Subscribe to Blaze TV. I'm so thankful for everyone who watches on YouTube and watches on Apple Podcasts. It's really important to me to have a free.com/Allie as we are navigating the chaos.
What a lunatic. That was it? Oh my Lord. So she's telling everybody to change the label from Christian nationalists, just divide it. Because she can't understand that when you put one word with a different word, it doesn't mean the definition of one word and the definition of a different word together. It can become a new word, like a white nationalist. That's not just a white person that wants is proud to be an American. That's not what that is. That is a white person that only wants white people in America. That's different. That creates a whole new concept when you put those two words together. You don't just get to define them separately and then act like that's the definition of these two words together. My God. It's literally so dishonest. They're just liars. Holy shit. That was incredible. Guess I got to react to that lady more often. Are we getting Jesus wrong? Yes. I don't know about that. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Jesus wasn't that great to me anyway. Yeah, he owes me money,
Just to get clear here.
So, like I said, this is going to be, if it gets too philosopho, bro, whatever, we'll turn it off. But what's that one? That's 25 minutes. Vincent is not impressed with me. Oh, that's from Deconstructions. Oh, I guess he's using the line clips too now. Y'all are lazy. Can't just make your own content. You got to steal the calls from the line. Unbelievable, y'all.
You're trying to find out if God.
Philibro, is that what I said? Philosopher. Did I say? I said philosopho, bro. That's not Philibro. Phil, it's just Phil, bro. But what if I have a bro named Phil? Sounds like I'm talking about him, and he's cool. All right.
Exists, and if he exists, you're on board with it. You would
Phil's
believe, or is it just maybe?
Phil does magic. He can take your cigarettes out of your pocket, and then start smoking a cigarette, and then offer you a cigarette, and then you go, "Oh no, it's cool. I already got." And then you start to panic because you're like, oh my God, I'm in an amusement park and I don't have my cigarettes. All of a sudden, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind all day. And he's like, these are yours, dude. I just stole them from you without you knowing. I'm a magician. Anyway, that's Phil.
Be merely educational. It's like, well, I just want to kind of lay out these answers out there for everybody to see. It doesn't matter to me either one. I just kind of want to know where we're starting from.
Well, I want to believe whatever is true, right? Now, it just so happens to be, I don't see any good reason to believe that God is real. But if there was a good reason to believe so, I certainly would. Now, when it comes to like the formal versions of God, like the God described in the Quran or the Bible, different things like that, I don't think there's any redeeming those particular God concepts. But if there's another God concept that can be proven, I'd certainly be open to it.
Sure. Yeah.
So a lot of times, and this is like one thing I think like we get our wires crossed on stuff. This is why I always have to be like separating that just some ambiguous thing that caused stuff to exist or whatever. They do not get to count that as a God. Gods are specific things that they believe in that are from holy books and other shit like that. You don't get to just say that, well, anything, you know, that caused the universe or whatever, I'm just going to decide that that is a God and that was my God the whole time. No, it wasn't. This is a completely different thing. But they always, you know, they're always going to try to do that shit.
So to answer your question, I'm Catholic. I'm a Catholic convert, actually. It took me a while to get there, but I've only been Catholic for about 6 years now. Raised Christian, more or less my whole life. I had a period where I was an atheist.
No, this one's not from the line. There was a different one off to the side that was Justin and Matt Dillahunty doing a call from the line. That's what I was talking about. But it was just on the side. Sorry.
So I'm quite familiar with the thinking that goes into that. And I was convinced that God didn't exist for a while. But so if you were asking me my reasons, I think the best evidence for believing in God is the cosmological argument, the original initial event of the Big Bang.
Because all they got is stuff has to come from other stuff that causes stuff. So God, bam, nailed it. That's the thing that's my God, you know, the thing that causes all this. Oh, yeah, well, where did everything come from? That's right. Well, it had to come from something I got. That's where.
Okay, so Kalam.
Well, not necessarily the Kalam version, but I prefer the 5 ways. I take them all as, Aquinas' 5 ways, which originally are actually Aristotle's. So I think it's significant that, you know, even
and so Aquinas just stole Aristotle stuff, really?
So-called pagan, you know, believed that there was some divine creator beginning to the universe.
Well, yeah, I mean, the pagans believed in a god or multiple gods. I think when the way we say pagan today has a different meaning than what people might have meant a long time ago.
Does he think that like pagans believe that there's like a big set of gods, but that reality just always existed and there just happened to be gods places, that there wasn't any creator God?
But that being said, go ahead then. If that's the argument you want to start with, I guess start it any way you want to, whether you want to explain it or whether you don't want to give premises.
I know I'm watching Justin quite a bit. What's up, dude? How we doing?
Yeah, well, so I have done videos on this. You're welcome to go look at my channel on it. Anybody's welcome there in my lives.
No, we won't. We're just going to watch when you're on with other skeptics so they can slap you down.
I did a full 1 and 2 version of,
I
kind of split it into the 5.
Don't care, dude. Come on, just move it on.
Ways, 1 through 3 and then 4 through 5. So you can
stop shameless plugging. Seriously.
I'm going to go see them if you really want to do a deep dive. But basically the idea is,
what's up, Riot? How we doing?
It had to have come from somewhere, the initial event. And I think most scientists, and I'm not sure about most philosophers because they're kind of wonky sometimes, but
yeah, philosophers are stupid. You know, they some of them think that we didn't come from anywhere. We just, you know,
most scientists believe in the Big Bang. At last I checked, the statistics on that are about 99.9% of scientists believe in the Big Bang. It's just like what might be before, whether there are multiverses, whether there's a big crunch coming after that or a big freeze. So in other words, they put qualifications on
what's a big freeze? That's when everything gets really cold and then expands again or something. What
you mean by the Big Bang? But most believe in a Big Bang, sort of some initial event.
Oh my good God.
Now, based on what I've seen with you before, you seem to think that the universe is eternal. Now, do you think that I don't know. So I don't believe that. Obviously, I think that there had to be some initial event.
Why?
And I wonder what makes you believe that. So I think because an
Have you watched this one, Dade? You already see this video, or he's Dr. McAllister. Apparently, he likes talking to atheists because I feel like I've seen a few of these now.
infinite regress is impossible
Why?
because
Of the Grim Reaper fallacy, right? Or the Grim Reaper paradox, which I still feel like I don't understand it fully, but I mean, I kind of get there. If you keep on going backwards, then you can never get to now. But I don't really feel like that tracks because we could still be somewhere along the lines of an infinite line that way and an infinite line that way, infinitely going in both directions. And we're just part of this section here. But just because we can't specifically map where we are in comparison to the beginning and the end, there isn't a beginning and an end. So, but we are just somewhere in comparison to the things that we can observe and be next to or whatever. But that I don't know. People say that like if you have an infinite like back in time, like infinite, it's infinitely old. You'd never be able to get to today because it just keeps on going. But it's like they're just like playing around with the concept of infinity and acting like that means something it doesn't really mean. Because technically, you could take like an inch on a ruler and you can infinitely divide that in half, and it would go on forever. It would go on infinitely, but that doesn't necessarily, you know what I mean? So it's kind of just playing with the concept of infinity, which is sort of just a paradoxical concept, no matter what.
if an infinite regress exists, then it had to have had a cause.
Zero is happening.
No. It's an infinite chain of causes.
So when it comes to the universe existence, right?
He does just like keep on talking, just sort of keeps on talking.
It's either going to be, okay, the reason for the universe existing is just there is no reason. Another answer would be, okay, it has a reason for its existence, but it's within itself. And then the third, of course, the Christian response would line up with this one. It has a reason for its existence, but that reason is external to.
What about like there is a reason, but we just don't know what it is? Did he say that? Did I miss that one?
The universe. So I go with the third, but which one of those are you going with?
Well, I don't believe the universe has a reason, but I also don't think that we have any reason to believe that it had an initial moment either.
So you don't believe in the Big Bang?
No, I do. I think you fundamentally misunderstand what the Big Bang is. The Big Bang is not saying that the universe once didn't exist and then it poofed into existence. In fact, a recent study has been done on this, a recent survey has been done on this, and discovered that the majority of cosmologists and physicists agree with that sentiment, that the Big Bang was not necessarily the start of all things. It's just how we got to where we're at today.
So, okay. So it depends on who you talk to about this, clearly. Because I feel like I remember reading, oh God, damn it, I can't think of his name. There was like the really famous scientist, and I don't want to describe him because I feel like it would be insensitive. But he was the one that talked like this, and he had like the voice. Anyway, Stephen Hawking. Okay. See how nice I am. I don't even want to describe people because I feel like I'm going to do that wrong. I'm going to offend somebody if I describe that to you. Anyway, and he said that there was no before the Big Bang, but that was like mathematically accurate, and he kind of like described how he got there. I was sort of just like, I don't even begin to understand this shit. Or some kind of math argument for why it had to be the beginning of everything, and they're saying anything before the Big Bang is just nonsensical. But then when I've heard Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about this, he was saying the reason that before the Big Bang was nonsensical was because there was nothing to measure time with, and we use the sun and things like that to measure time. So if you have before the Big Bang, like you can't really, there's no way to measure anything because all the things that we use to measure time wouldn't have had existed yet, and so that's why. But there was still the concept of time before that. But see, this is what I'm saying. Like, you kind of get a bunch of different takes on this sort of thing. But I don't know. Let's see what he says.
Okay, so what came before?
Lawrence Krauss too. What was Lawrence? I haven't read that one yet. I have it. I just haven't started it yet. The A Universe Out of Nothing. Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
Or the Big Bang then?
I mean, you tell me. No one really knows. Like, we don't have the tools to investigate what form or what shape the universe was in prior to the Big Bang, but there's a couple different models for it. There's cosmic inflation. There's quantum foam.
Yeah, thank you. Hold on. That was a good way to say it. Dave's always helpful here. Say before is a temporal concept, and therefore, if time came into existence with the Big Bang, then the concept of before is incoherent. But like I said, that's like a different interpretation, I think, than Neil deGrasse Tyson, what he was saying. Anyway, we don't know. That's the bottom line. We don't know. Let's move on. Let's wait till we can know to say that we know.
And then there's the Big Bang, Big Crunch theory. My particular opinion is that the Big Bang, Big Crunch theory is the most, not the most credible, but I think it makes the most sense.
The Big Bang, Big Crunch.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where we had a bang, and it's likely to sort of reverse and go back into a crunch, and perhaps do the same thing over and over.
Yeah, an infinite number of times.
Infinitely.
Okay.
That, yeah.
So I looked up that as well, and cosmologists, this is not necessarily a fringe theory, but it's not a dominant theory. Not very many cosmologists and
well, there's no
physicists
dominant
believe in
theory.
this. The dominant theory would just be the Big Bang, which
Well, the
has
Big Bang
its
doesn't
various-
posit
That's
before
it doesn't posit before the Big Bang because it's the Big Bang.
the Big Bang. The Big Bang doesn't make a
Doesn't say,
claim
right.
as to what
He
came
doesn't even
before.
understand like his own. That's funny. I looked it up though. Wikipedia actually said this. That's not the dominant theory of before the theory. The theory is the theory that's not before the theory. So it's anyway. Wow.
Yeah, no. So it in its current form, it is quiet about that. Sort of has a sort of agnostic view about what came before, if any.
Boom. There you go. Because that's the reasonable position to take, dude. You don't decide to know stuff before you can know stuff.
Thing came before, and so these, like I was saying, these qualifications or these add-ons. But this certain qualification, one with the Big Bang and then the Big Crunch, just is not one that's widely held.
Well, I would disagree. Where did you get that number from? Because I stream every Sunday with an actual physicist, a PhD physicist, who disagrees with that vehemently.
Okay. I mean, I'd love to talk to him. I mean, I'm open to learning about this. But it's my understanding that that's not a very dominant model. First of all, because you would need for it to slow down. It's not showing any signs of slowing down.
It is.
Expansion.
Yeah,
okay.
so
and if it were,
the acceleration rate, according to the latest DESI data, is that the acceleration is decreasing with every measurement.
Sorry, I misspoke there. So if it is slowing down, which I think that it is, it has no sign.
Wait. Hold on. How do you do that, dude? This is the weird thing about debates, especially with people like this, where they so arrogantly state their case, right? And even if it is slowing down, because I swear so many of these people win in debates just by sticking their thumbs in their bets and sticking their chest out, and then just act like they know what they're saying harder than the other guy. That's probably a more skeptical thinker and is a bit more insecure about the knowledge that they don't know they got because they know about not knowing stuff. But he just said, he just said, and there's obviously no evidence of it slowing down at all. There's no, and he's like, yeah, there is. It's actually, and he described that he does actually know that it is actually. I misspoke. I meant the opposite of what I just said. I was trying to say that it is slowing down because I agree. Fuck, how do I do this? This is crazy.
The acceleration is decreasing with every measurement.
Well,
Yeah,
it is
expansion. learning about this. But it's my understanding that that's not a very dominant model. First of all, because you would need for it to slow down. It's not showing any signs of slowing down.
It is
expansion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the
listen to that. It's not showing any signs of slowing down.
If it were,
the acceleration
were,
rate, according to,
and then he's like, if it were slowing down, Justin interrupts him, right? And then basically demonstrates that he knows what he's talking about. I meant the other thing.
latest DESI data is that the acceleration is decreasing with every measurement.
Sorry, I misspoke there. So if it is slowing down, which I think that it is, it has no signs of that reversing. That's just sort of this hypothetical speculation that we suppose will happen, but there's no evidence that it will.
Gravity is the evidence.
Well, I think that gravity will somehow make everything come back into one point.
Because that's how gravity works.
Have you ever thrown a ball? He's never thrown a ball up in the air. I don't think he doesn't. He probably doesn't know how balls work.
Gravity holds.
We definitely doesn't know how those were different kind of ball. No, never mind. Moving on.
Planets in orbit around there.
Gravity
stars around certain things with mass, but they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be the central point of the universe that would be the thing with, you know, infinite, almost infinite, but a really infinitesimal, well, sorry, I used that word wrong. So a really
Jesus Christ, dude,
large, let's say, mass enough to swallow the universe back up into itself.
Well, it's not being swallowed into a mass. It's forming a mass when it collapses.
Right.
And we've seen that. Don't we see this with like supernovas and shit? Isn't that like kind of where we're getting this from?
Yeah.
Like the collapsing star, and kind of just assume that. I just assume. I'm sure there's other data too, but like, that it kind of functions sort of like that, but on a larger scale.
I mean, because if you get far enough away from a planet, you're no longer in its orbit.
Yeah.
So this point, let's say the initial point, not chronologically speaking, but in spatial terms, if you get far enough outside that thing's orbit, then it just wouldn't have any impact on it anymore, especially if it's accelerating and then it's decelerating. So we're to suppose that somehow it's going to...
Hey, buddy, we're not going to be talking like that, okay? So I put you in timeout for 5 minutes. You can come back in 5 minutes if you want to not use slurs, even if you misspelled them, okay? Jesus Christ.
I mean, I can understand the reasoning because it's like throwing a ball into the air, but that's when you have an enormous mass.
But then we can talk about climate change when you get back, okay? How about that?
Earth with enormous force of gravity, and you're throwing this really tiny ball up in the air. Of course, it's going to come back down. But why think that the universe is like that? What would be the central point that is so?
Because we have mathematical models
powerful
that predict it. So Sean Carroll has already done the work on this. He's published on it.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not familiar with that. Now, I don't buy this. There's a lot of reasons to be skeptical.
I'm not familiar with the people that are actually doing the work on it, but I think it's ridiculous
about this, I think. But I think we can even go further, right? So like if this model is true, this supposes an infinite regress. And I just don't think an infinite regress is possible.
But
so, okay, because I'm not seeing Gretchen. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Gretchen has a comment here. Let me see. So, Gretchen said the only way I could fathom time and space being separable phenomena is like string theory was actually true. Isn't string theory was I'm too much of a sub. Isn't string theory like the multiverse one, or is that loop? Or is loop the other one that doesn't have the multiverse? I can't remember. I gotta physics is almost, I have a hard time with it, just because it's so abstract. Like it just feels like it's so just disjointed from anything that I understand. But I imagine especially like stuff in space would be like that. Why would things in space that have to do with our universe function like things on this little tiny pale blue dot within the universe? So fallacy of composition. So, you know, you compare like one of the parts to the whole, or the whole to its part. But that, yeah, but it's hard. It's hard for me to keep up. Plus, math is, you know, I find it. I'm not going to say I'm not good at math. I find it a bit more challenging than I imagine most people would. But what's is he a non-thinker? Yeah, yeah, that's clearly with the way that he was typing there, talking about the commenter I put in timeout. I hope they come back though, because I do actually want to talk about that. Just minus the slurs would be wonderful if we could do that. Anyway,
I think in principle it's not possible.
Why not?
I think it's mathematically possible, but I don't think it's physically possible.
But why not?
Because
how is something mathematically possible if it's not physically possible? Like, what does that mean? Like, how could something, like, wouldn't possibility require it to be like physically? Like, what do you mean, like, mathematically possible? Like, you can just write an equation that says that it's possible, but it's not actually. I don't understand.
because we don't ever see that in reality. We've never seen it before.
So, Dr.
And so
McAllister, I'll let you know, I have the infinite regress argument at least once a week. Everybody who doesn't like this theory is positive that infinite regresses aren't possible. Not one of them can tell me why. So if the only argument is, well, infinite regresses,
The Grim Reaper paradox, which again, I don't really know what that means. All I know is that you can't get today if it's infinitely in the past. That's all.
aren't possible because I don't like them, that's not a good argument.
That's not the argument I'm making.
Yeah, it is.
I said that they're mathematically possible. Sure. I mean, we could just think of negative numbers. They regress
That's right.
infinitely. But
Okay. So that's right. And those negative numbers could never be applied to anything in reality.
someone to claim that in the physical world, there's an infinite regress going back in time of physical objects, this is a hard claim to swallow. I don't think it's physically possible.
Why?
And because there's no direct empirical observation of it.
Well, the observation in science is that matter and energy can't be created or destroyed. So that means it existed forever.
That's not necessarily true.
Well, give me one good reason why I would believe that all the matter, time, and space in our universe once just didn't exist.
So let me go back to that claim. I agree with you that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. Perfect.
You do, except that you think it was created, though. Why did they do this? No, I'm with you on the not being created nor destroyed, except for special pleading my God when he did it. But other than that, never after, never ever after.
Perfectly fine with me.
AJ, what's up? Aunt Ember, what's up?
I don't agree with the inference to the conclusion that therefore the universe is eternal.
What? Dude, this is driving me crazy. I was going to say, because it feels like, I wonder if it's me or something. I don't know. But it feels like the algorithm is not putting my stuff out these days. And Callie, what's up? Everybody's showing up. What's up?
Don't think.
I guess it just now put the stream out to everybody. Even though I literally put this stream out this morning. Tried it at like 4 a.m. I put this out.
I think that's a bit of a leap.
Well, can something come from nothing?
No.
Okay, well, we got two logical arguments then. Premise
And
number
you
one,
kind
something
of-
doesn't come from nothing. Premise number conclusion, or premise number two, we have something. Conclusion, there's always been something.
Boom. Done. We're done. Here.
Right. And the Christian
Right.
would just say that that's
Yeah.
God.
That was God.
And the non-Christian would say there's no need for a God because the universe has existed forever.
You just do the universe, which we have evidence of the universe, don't have evidence of a God. I think we got the stronger evidence for our particular position.
Right. So let me explain the reasoning here, like that I'm trying to get at. So, like I said, I don't
Quantum. Slept out your stuff. I knew it.
agree with the inference. I agree that matter can be neither created nor destroyed, but I don't agree with the inference to the conclusion, therefore the universe is eternal. I don't agree with that because the Christian can also say consistently that, yeah, matter can neither be created nor destroyed once matter has been
Created.
introduced into the world.
Oh, the word's created. just say created, because that's the
Yeah, because why would we
God.
even have that principle to begin with? Because
I knew
through
it.
direct
I told you it's going to say that. It's yeah, it's never been. It can't be created nor destroyed except for when it was created.
observation. We have this principle in science by people during the Enlightenment era, during the 1600s, 1700s, saying, well, you know, matter can neither be created nor destroyed. They're not saying that from the standpoint of the beginning of the universe. They're saying it as a principle of science based on observation. And then so to take that really narrow claim and then apply it to, well, I suppose then, like, it would be understandable that within their perspective that, of course,
Holy shit, how does he just not say? It's almost like he's got so many filler words. He could just not say anything for like 5 fucking minutes.
at that time in history, making that claim is not an
Okay, we got some well, we got Ember here, so we do have a mod for when the person that wants to debate the religion of climate change comes back to being allowed to talk. So might have to. Does anybody let me know in the chat if you want to be a mod? Let me know, because we need more.
extraordinary, outlandish claim, because it's understandable that something would.
Not that I don't think that Ember can handle it all on her own. She can handle herself. Okay, but you know, sometimes it takes a minute for her to come from the other stream that was clearly more entertaining than this one.
Neither be created nor destroyed.
Now she's trying to make excuses like, oh, the algorithm didn't put it out there. I'm just kidding.
Destroyed now, but that doesn't entail that it was never created to begin with. Does that make any sense? What I'm saying?
It makes sense, but we have no evidence that it was created or that it once didn't exist, right? Before we posit a need for a creator, we probably need to lay down some sort of established fact that it once didn't exist and needed to come into an existence.
Yeah. So I think a few of the arguments, Thomas Aquinas, like the contingency argument, for example, the idea that not everything in the world can be contingent.
Why not?
And so if you want to say that the universe is eternal, I think you would have to.
You get a wrench and you get a wrench. I can't be trusted with such. I was to say, I'll do it. I can buy the shit out of it. All right, cool. We'll do uses 1, 2. I'm just doing standards for now, but we'll, you know, if you show if you prove yourself, if you show yourself proven, then thine shall have a wrench tapped on either side of your shoulder. Is it shoulder? Yeah, on your shoulder. You tap with the wrench, and then you become Sir Moderator. That's how it goes.
To say that it would be necessary. Do you think that's? Do you think the universe?
Dr. Kip's here too. Hell yeah! Do you want a wrench? You can have a wrench. You know, I'm just I am Oprahing these wrenches today.
Necessarily exists, like it couldn't possibly be otherwise.
I mean, the fact that it exists, I think, demands that it does exist necessarily, or else it wouldn't exist.
And the thing is, too, I want to make this clear, because I've had some people asking me about being a mod, and I want to make this clear. I don't know how to make people mods when they're not in the chat. So I can't make you a mod if you're not in the chat. So I just want to make that understood amongst the people that talk to other people that might talk to that person, because if you're not here, I can't make you a mod, dude.
It seems like a kind of bite the bullet position you'd have to take, and that's understandable.
Is that the universe exists? I'm willing to bite that bullet. No, yeah.
That's not what I meant. That the universe exists necessarily because it exists. So that the universe exists necessarily.
Oh, man, is this the are we doing the Theo would know this. Are we doing the modal? Is that what this is? That modal logic stuff where you just put you basically like dumb everything down into like 2 choices so that you can make, and it's all like probabilities and shit.
And that's understandable, because like what other response could you have other than saying
nice.
Because if you want to say it's contingent, which, you know, I think most things in the universe are contingent.
Right, but
Like I would say nearly everything in the universe is contingent, if
Professor,
not everything.
well, look at it from my point of view, right? We're saying that the thing that we know exists, the universe, right?
Well, you can be a bad moderator on my channel. That's cool. And and we'll get AJ there too. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah. There we go.
I'm saying the thing that we know for a fact exists necessarily. You're saying no, it once didn't exist, and something that we have no evidence of caused it to exist. So you're saying, I'm saying the thing we know exists necessarily. You're saying a thing that we don't know exists necessarily and caused everything to come into existence. I think one of those is just an easier thing to grab hold of than the other. And
It is exactly what I was saying a second ago. Is just they're just adding some extra thing they don't have evidence for to basically explain the thing that we do have evidence for by way of reasoning that like it had to start at some point, which we don't have evidence for that. So it's so weird the way that they will just contort their brain into pretzels so that they can act like this thing is necessary when it's not.
the thing that's easier to grab a hold of is the thing that we know already exists.
That's fair, but think about this claim that the universe exists necessarily. Like,
Thank you. Homotologic. Thank you. Yeah, it's where it's like necessary or contingent, and then it goes based on those two things. I feel like using that kind of stuff is like when you put everything between two different choices like that, it really does. I don't know. I don't feel like it maps to reality very well. I mean, I think it can, but not necessarily all the time.
don't make this claim about like oak trees, for example, obviously, because oak trees are contingent. It could have been otherwise. Like if an acorn falls down a hill, lands in a different spot, gets eaten up by a squirrel or something, there's not going to be an oak tree there. So it could very well have been otherwise. And you and I are both contingent. In fact, everything in the world that we know of is contingent. So why think that the universe is somehow different?
Why is it not contingent?
Right.
No, I'm asking you.
Exactly. That's what you were. Oh, that was a question. I was just agreeing to just agree. What did you say? You were saying, I think. What?
In my worldview, it's an infinite regress of contingencies.
Do you see the absurdity of that? With all due respect,
I don't.
like,
No.
the infinite regress of contingencies.
Again, you haven't provided a reason why I should reject an infinite regress other than incredulity.
Unbelievable.
If all you have against this is incredulity, you don't have an argument.
It's not incredulity. I'm expressing incredulity, but it's not merely incredulity. That's my reason. Let me try to unpack.
Why can there not be an infinite regress in the past the same way there's going to be infinite stuff in the future?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to say it. I've never heard it put that way. I like that. Ember said, but why is infinite regress a problem? And again, the only argument I've ever heard is that you could never get to today, which is just the weirdest way to evaluate infinity in any possible way. Like,
so if there were an infinite regress of contingent, let's say, chain of a series of events, right? Because that's all the universe is. It's just objects, and then there are changes, right? That accounts for both space and time.
I think we agree
Space
there. Yeah,
is right. Space is just the measurement between objects, and time is just the measurement between change. So really, we're not talking about space and time. Forget about that. Those are just kind of like the buckets in which we place these things. Really, we're talking about objects and their changes. So,
well, I think for that conversation to be had, you might refer to physics, and physics believes that time and space are a web that is somehow a fundamental property of the physical reality, right? So I don't know if I would call space-time a bucket, because
so you get to 1.21 gigawatts at 88 miles an hour. Then you can separate them.
Seems to be a property of the physical world. But I'm not a physicist. Someone like Sean Carroll, Dr. Blitz, William Kinney, like they could explain that in great detail that someone of my position couldn't.
Sure.
Dr. Blitz is he's a physicist.
And I'm speaking outside of my expertise, just to flag this. I don't specialize in this area.
Philosophy people, constantly. are doing that. That's I was kidding.
So I
just think about thinking a whole lot. That's it. That's my expertise, is thinking about thinking.
be the first to defer to somebody who is an expert on these things. But so far as I understand it, space-time, however they're interwoven, it takes into that
Oh my
thing is
God,
not
yeah.
something that actually.
Dude, if you don't have like a response to what he just said, we can just move on to a different argument. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we've pretty much beat this one to all goddamn get out.
Exists itself. That's why they use the metaphor of a bucket. We can discard that if you like, but the idea here is
Yeah, let's use a pail. You know, I'd rather use a pail if we could. Oh, what? Oh, is it the same? What?
that space
Can
doesn't.
I
it's
ask a
almost like
clarifying question? Or
hole.
are you
Sure,
suggesting
sure, go ahead.
space-time doesn't exist? I guess I'm confused.
In the sense that a hole does not exist, right? If I dig a hole, the hole doesn't exist because there's nothing like physical. There's no matter there or anything like. That's all I'm saying about space. Like it's just the space.
What? What? What do you mean? The hole would still exist, though. The concept of the hole would exist. You're saying because there's a hole is something where there's where it's carved away from something else, therefore it doesn't exist, even though oh my good God.
It's the emptiness between objects.
I mean, perhaps I don't know if that's my understanding of space.
I feel like I caught Gretchen said Dr. Blitz is the goat. I feel like I caught the other day a really, really fun dialogue with Dr. Blitz. It's pretty cool. Maybe we can check them out. Hey, like I said, throw me some videos of stuff like that. Like if you got any debates that Dr. Blitz has done that you really enjoy, please, pop them in the Discord.
Time, but
which you can get if you QR code that if you take a picture of the QR code that's right there.
I don't know if it matters for where we're trying to get to, and
Sure.
I don't know if we want to waste a bunch of time on that,
I could see it.
especially since
That's
neither
fine.
one of
Yeah.
us are actually physicists.
Sure. So the idea here is that instead of talking about space, time, and the beginning of the universe, because really the universe is just the collection of the whole, I want to just talk about objects, the things inside the universe,
The
because that's
particulars.
really that's our focus. We want to talk about the changes between those things, and once you talk about, you move the focus to those things. Talk about those things are the things that form the series of causes and cause and effect, right?
That feels like exactly what he's trying to say here with Theo's comments. And you can cut a lot of calories by only eating the holes of the cheese. So that seems like that's the way he's defining terms here. Just to be particularly pedantic and unnecessarily confusing.
I don't think that a series of contingent things can have a cause and effect.
What's up, weirdo? How we doing?
Sorry, cause and effect chain forever, right?
Why not?
Because if we are seeing, so let's take the line of dominoes. This is a very basic example. Obviously, the universe is much more complex than that, and the objects in the universe are more complex. But if we take a line of dominoes, the domino line is falling now, which, in our analogy, it is falling now. It's moving. Now we see objects that are moving, causes and effects are happening. So the line of dominoes in the analogy, they're falling. What we're saying, if it extends infinitely into the past, is there is no beginning.
Mhm.
And so if there is no beginning, then the dominoes that are falling now shouldn't be falling because they never began to fall. They never began to fall.
We don't have dominoes.
I know it's weird when they're like, but what about dominoes though? And it's like, yeah, again, this is like similar to a composition felt. Like it doesn't work like a thing that works on our planet, a speck, like a beyond a speck within a speck in a seemingly infinite universe. And you're going to be like, it's just like dominoes though. Like it's not the universe is so fundamentally different than dominoes. It's not even funny.
Like I understand the metaphor. The metaphor is like we shouldn't have movement if there wasn't a first move, but I disagree. I think it's a category error. You're suggesting that there needs to be a first movement for movement to happen.
But this is a physics stream, Dr. Kip. Okay, I know you like the Bible ones better. I do too. at this point, actually. But don't call the guy an abortion. That's, that's just rude.
I'm inferring based on
Nothing.
There's movement
Apparently.
now, and there had to be have movement begin to move. So there had to have figure out,
man.
Let it be at whatever time you like. It could have been 2 hours ago. Some metaphysicians play around with this. They're like, oh yeah, the universe could have just popped into existence.
Yeah, exactly. Edward said it very well. My metaphor doesn't describe reality, so it must be reality is wrong. That's what the real problem is there. Jesus. Good. Totally off that. Okay, well, but you're gonna have a philosophy thing on this anyway. With so many people doing everything on their phones these days, why haven't they figured out how to make QR codes clickable? That actually is a good question. I feel like that's coming, right? That should be coming like any day now. You're right, because like, why do you even have to? So wait, how are you supposed to? If you're watching on your phone, how do you? You know what? Never mind. Now I'm getting confused. It's like trying to talk about biting your teeth. And you're like, how do you bite your teeth? And it's like, I don't know. That's because it's your phone that's trying to do the phone. Never mind.
Second ago or something.
I mean, theoretically, that is
Or it could
possible.
be-
Like
right.
all
yeah,
all of our memories could just be fictitious, made up at the moment of creation 2 minutes ago.
Sure. Yeah. So people like to play around with this. So I'm not suggesting that, of course.
What? No.
But it can be at whatever.
What is it? The downvote? I don't think so. Did I? There was one. It was weird. The other day, there was a video that didn't have any likes on it, and I couldn't figure out why. It was like it wouldn't show how many likes and stuff. I'm like, how did this get like this? Like, did I accidentally click something? But no, I don't. Are you taking away the downvote emote? No, I don't think so. Wait, what? Oh, that one. Yeah. No, I did do that. I forgot because we only got so many, and I had to put that new one. Plus, I kept not seeing it. That was the problem, and so I felt bad that I wasn't seeing it. And then, we would not move on to the next video because I didn't know.
Far back, or however proximate to now, recent, or it can be really far back in the past. But at some point, there had to be some first domino to fall. Otherwise, there just wouldn't be dominoes falling now.
Well, I don't think so. I think that domino was caused by the domino prior to it, and the domino prior to it, and the domino prior to it. And I think
They're just not dominoes because those are things that we make on our little tiny speck.
the God doesn't solve the problem, because the God has to figure out why that infinite regress is allowed through special pleading, but the infinite regress of the universe isn't.
So God, if you want to go there, if you want to talk about that, God's not an infinite regress.
Oh, he certainly is.
What?
No, he's not.
How is he
Absolutely
not?
is, because God can't exist without time either.
Why think that God can't exist without time?
Because you need time to do things, and God does things. Like God has thoughts, God speaks. All of those things happen in time.
Let me just. Oh, I got it. I'm a little parched. Hold on. Oh.
God has thoughts. God speaks. The only,
That was pretty funny.
according to Christian view that we're examining here, the first time that we get God speaking is at the creation of the universe.
He spoke it
So
into
Christians,
existence.
right? So Christians
Mhm.
could say, okay, well, yeah, of course you get speaking there, but why think that they're speaking prior to time, like you suggested?
Did he think about creating the universe
What?
before he created it?
Great question. God's thoughts,
See that one,
as
bud.
we're told, are not like our thoughts, but we can, not to be simplistic and patronizing about that, but God's thoughts are immediately accessible to him at all times. And Christians believe in impassibility.
It's so crazy the way that they can sit here and talk about this made up thing, and it's like explaining stuff in a way that is just like it. How do you not get like? They're like, oh no, but it doesn't have to follow the rules. No, because he's God, okay? He's a magic. He can be nowhere and also be there. He can also exist for 0 seconds and then also exist for what it's like the most basic laws of logic are just, being just traipsed over with every single claim they make, within every single argument they make. And yet they don't understand why skeptics don't believe this shit, who are like a little bit more logical thinking, or think a bit more logically.
That an unchangeability in God.
Well,
that
let me ask you a better question.
So that
You
God
believe
would
in a
not
Trinity?
be affected whatsoever.
This isn't.
Yes.
Do you believe that prior to the creation of the universe, that Jesus and Yahweh could have a conversation with each other?
I don't think that they would need to converse
But
with
could
one
they?
another in the way that we are discussing. Yeah, of course.
Then
Yeah, just because the ghost disappears halfway down, like Casper, doesn't mean he doesn't have shoes on. I know. Even though Casper turns into a little skinny. What would you call it? What'd you call that? Is that a cone? Do we call that a cone? I don't know. He does. It's like a cone, but he has like a little tail, right? So, but based on what he's saying, he could have shoes. You just can't see him. There's an infinite regress of shoes.
implies time.
That implies time if they did it. I only said it was possible that they did it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. If they're capable of having a conversation, that conversation could only happen in time.
I mean, we're capable of going to Mars, but we haven't done it.
Right.
So like,
But
just
one
to say
of them
something's possible doesn't mean that
requires
it happened.
time.
Right. So
Wow, dude.
it would be like,
This is so absurd. Like, we're talking about a literal, like, made up thing. This would be like saying, well, hey, fairies can exist for 0 seconds. So they're like, well, how do you know that? What? Because I decided that they can.
mental communication. It would be like my thoughts being immediately accessible to me.
Gisela hates these kinds of videos. I'm sorry. I know. This will be the last one for a while.
Well, then
Right,
they're
but
not
in a
having
more
then they're not
in a
having
much
a,
more immediate way.
then they're not having a conversation.
So it wouldn't be a conversation the way humans understand conversations. No, not at all.
Okay, so then they technically can't have a conversation prior to the creation of space-time universe.
So let me explain it to you this way. So
It's crazy too, because like he was just going on about the contingent and necessary things, like, and then he's like he's demonstrating that like time is a necessary property of conversations, and the dude's just not grabbing it.
just to answer your question, sorry. Could you repeat the question? I don't want to just move on without.
Time's required for conversations, dude. Go.
Right. Okay. So my complaint here is easy. Anything that involves a sequencing of time, like having a thought.
Allow me to explain. Can you repeat the question? That's my explanation is what?
Or sharing a thought. None of that's actually possible without time.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea here is that God, according to philosophers and theologians, and I don't mean to bog this down in any terminology whatsoever, but it is clear that if we are criticizing a specific view, it's important that we know what the view is claiming. I think you'd agree.
Mhm.
So philosophers and theologians think that God is what they call pure actuality. There is no, so actuality and potentiality, these are pitted against each other. It's sort of like you have what's potential, then you have what's actual. Something that's potential, something that is possible to happen. Something that is actual is just something that is currently happening.
You're just making up special. This is just special pleading, but harder though. That's all this is. This is just like special pleading, but like on steroids. That's all this is.
So if God is pure actuality, that means that there is no potentiality in God. There's no potentiality at all. Everything that could be happening to God is already happening. So this is how they consider God's thoughts and ideas. They are
funny because I actually like these ones a lot because I like this stupid abstract philosophy crap. And every time Giselle's like, we gotta switch a video. I can't. No, I don't want to. No, we got to move on.
Immediately accessible. That's what I meant by immediately accessible. The idea that these things are actually anything they would be. Like for me, as a human, and for you, we have potential thoughts. Not all of our thoughts are actual to us.
What?
But for God, they are.
If you've had a thought, then that would have had been an actual thought. And the second that you say that a thought could be a potential thought, it's already a thought now, because now you've thought that you could think it. You know what? God damn it.
All actual to him.
Right. Which is what I'm saying, though, thoughts are sequenced.
No.
Or else you don't have a thought.
Thoughts are only
No, thoughts are not sequenced. I think all my thoughts at the same time. I'm in Brentley's brain, actually. So they're not sequenced.
thoughts are only sequenced if it's discursive reasoning. You know how it's discursive means kind of like you write in cursive. It's like from one thought to another, to another, to another. This wouldn't be the case in God, in the mind of God.
Oh, certainly it is. He said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually a good point. If there's zero, hold on, let me put this up because I feel like I gotta read it. That's incoherent. If there's zero potentiality, then he can't do anything. You can't actualize what isn't potentiality. Right. That's an excellent point. Jesus, it just gets so confusing, but I love it. It's fun. All right.
So in Exodus.
How's that?
Wait, what was that?
Discursive means kind of like you write in cursive. It's like from one thought to another, to another, to another. This wouldn't be the case in God, in the mind of God.
Oh, certainly it is. He says so in Exodus.
How's that?
Let me rephrase. I think it's Exodus 33.
There's actually a Bible verse for this. Like, fuck. Why did people in the past have to say stuff? Now I can't make up shit around the God I believe in. It's the goddamn Bible.
Let me double check.
There we go, Kip. We're getting to your specialty after all. Come on, Justin, I don't have time for this. Come on, man. We're running out of time. Oh my good God. Dude, hurry it up.
Thing.
How do other people just have dead air for times without like having mini panic attacks inside their brain until they think of something to say real quick?
Has Moses speak to the people, and this is his words. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, you are a stiff-necked people. If for a single moment I should go up among you, I would consume you. So now take off your ornaments, and I will decide what to do with you. And some translations will say, I will think, or I will consider what to do with you, which means God's processes, his mental faculties, are operating in a sequence.
What do you think that kept? Was that an accurate reading, or is that a lot of Christians actually hate the Bible? I fucking love it.
Okay. That's your proof that God thinks discursively.
Well, he says so.
It's in the Bible, dude. This is why you don't say you live in accordance to a thing that other people can then read and then tell you that you're wrong about the thing you've already decided, because you know what? Never mind.
Right. Okay. So, first of all, it's very dangerous to have one cherry-picked text as a proof text. And we know that in Christian theology,
very dangerous. It can put somebody's eye out with that. You know, you get just one verse like that's very sharp, and it could cut your finger, put your eye out. You don't even know.
I've got more.
Anthropomorphic traits are projected onto God that God doesn't necessarily have. Like,
what was the verse? Hold on, because I actually do want Kip to know this.
Right. Okay. So
I love how he responds when he doesn't know what to say. Right. Okay.
So that's your proof that God thinks discursively.
Okay, good. But good. What
his mental faculties, what to do with you. And some translations will say, I will think, or I will consider.
Now Moses used to take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, far off from the camp. He called it the tent of meeting. He called it that, the tent of meeting. Hey everybody, they said can we get a sign made? Yeah, let's get a sign made on that. Tent of meeting. Let's get that. Where's my sign guy? Yo, you, Todd. Yeah, go get me a sign.
What to do with you, which means God's.
Did you see what? Sorry. Wait, what's it?
Words. The Lord said to Moses, says this really interesting thing. Has Moses speak to the people, And this is his words. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, you are a stiff-necked people. If for a single moment I should go up among you, I would consume you. So now take off your ornaments and I will decide what to do with you. And some translations will.
So, you know where we're at? Okay. Anthropomorphic traits is just, hold on, let me put it, here we go. Anthropomorphic traits is just a giant helping of cope for the fact that the Bible, like all ancient Near Eastern sources, presents God like a man. Yeah. Which is, yeah, that is really fascinating to me. The fact that like the interpretation of gods back then was so much more man-like, and that's why the God of the Bible seems to be just like a petulant king, really, you know, like a child, but like a child king, an all-powerful, petulant child king. That's what he seems like to me anyway.
Say, I will think or I will consider what to do with you, which means God, problem is I'm reading it for what it says. And God says, I need to make a decision about what to do with you people. That is sequenced event.
I didn't expect to get into biblical analysis here, but
what channel did you think you were on, dude? Really? You're like, oh no, it's just in deconstruction zone, and we're just never going to talk about the Bible. We're just going to talk about Grim Reaper paradoxes and shit. Come on, man.
Let me ask a follow-up question with respect to and just interpreting. Would you suggest then that anytime the Bible says something, we should just take it at face value?
No, I think we know when an idiom is being employed. Like when it says Adam knew his wife Eve, we know that's an idiom for.
That's actually a really good point. Too. Ember was saying, hold on one second. Where did it go? There are also the times. Oh, let me switch things. I really like that I figured out how to do that little thing, little flipperoo. Anyway, Ember said there are also times Moses and Abraham, and Lot. Oh, that's right, and Lot. Yep. And probably others negotiate God into things. Chronological thoughts are demonstrated. Yeah, because you wouldn't see that in the Bible like at all if his thoughts are just like infinite in every direction, all happening at the same time, like he's Mr. fucking Manhattan or some shit, you know. Oh, you're responding to Drusilla. Not as much as one would think, but, well, trying to keep it clean is a bitch. Because as soon as you get in there, there's the nerve. Teeth brushing, a bloody, I have no idea what you guys know. What the hell side conversation are y'all having? Holy shit. Let's see it. The gods were essentially thought to be basically gigantic, super smart, super strong, super triggered men. That's hilarious. It reminds me of do you remember the beginning of Thor 3 where he gets the god slayer sword or whatever, and they're just on like this island and they're just really big people, you know, but he bleeds gold when he stabs him with the god killer sword or whatever. That almost sounds like what you're talking about. But the other example, I don't want to do a spoiler, but Cabin in the Woods, that's all I'm going to say. Like that. Remember that movie? I'm not going to say anything else about that movie, but the gods in that movie reminds me of that. No spoilers, god damn it. Okay. Almost did, but I didn't. I stopped myself. I didn't do an Austin Archer and give away the entire Bone Temple movie halfway through a video about ICE doing stuff to protest. Unbelievable, dude. Like, what the come on, Austin, be better. What are you doing? Now I feel like I don't even need to go see that fucking movie because you ruined the whole thing.
We're doing the cha-cha. We get that. And there's lots of Hebrew idioms. I know because I had to learn them when I took Hebrew. So the reality is we know when a metaphor is being employed. We know when an idiom is being employed. This idea of, well, every time God says something that makes him look human-like. We just must assume that he doesn't actually mean it.
Oh, yeah.
This is somehow him just.
Oh my God, yeah, Ragnarok was phenomenal. I will rewatch that movie ad nauseum. I bet you Nikki's like sick of it by now because I feel like I've watched it like a million times. That music at the beginning that almost has like the Stranger Things kind of sound. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Anthropomorphizing himself.
Love it.
Which is not actually the case, because in the narrative that we just read, not only is he talking about doing a sequence of events, he does a sequence of events, and he does so elsewhere. There's a bunch of
like, why would reality be the way that it is if that where everything is in sequenced events and everything, if God didn't think that way? You know what I mean? Like, why would God think all at once and everything is at once and then have all this like sequenced shit, including time itself? Why would he do that? You're saying he would just make something that's so different than him, but it's just something that he's like, I don't know, let's try like maybe stuff happening after other stuff. Let's give that a shot, you know, because this is just a bit cacophonous in here. And I'd kind of like to see what reality would play out like if it wasn't so loud and all at the same time.
Instances where God is finding things out or knowing things in a sequenced event.
How do you mean?
Like when he has Abraham almost execute his son. All right. We're talking about Genesis 22, right? In verse 12.
Definitely a sequence of events that are really strange that people still talk about that like it's a loving story. I'm just so fascinated by that. Like, that's true love right there. You're like, what? No, love for God that asked him to unalive his kid. Yeah. No, just love for them, not for the son. No, I don't care about that. But love for the God that wanted him to sacrifice his son. That's some love and love right there.
In Genesis 22, when he's got the dagger in the air, he's about to stab, and he gets stopped. He says, now I know, right? He's saying, now I have the information. He says the same thing in Deuteronomy chapter 13.
Because God didn't know until afterwards. And then he's like, okay, now I see it. All right, we're good. We're good. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure, you know, I'm not trying to get people half-assing it that, you know, won't unalive their kids at my demand. So good. All right, now we can continue. Like, what the fuck? I mean, and it's also just like the flood where Jesus said, or Jesus doesn't exist yet. God, Yahweh, said he regretted making mankind, which, how do you regret stuff if you're thinking all your thoughts at the same time? That's not, you know, and know the future and the past and everything else. It couldn't possibly work that way.
He's going to test his people to know what is in their heart. He says the same thing in Deuteronomy 18 before he...
In the original version, Isaac died. Well, he slipped and fell off. That's funny. It was like an accident. It's like a Final Destination death. He's like, no, go ahead and stop. And he's like, all right. And he like slips and then like hits a stick that had a rock on the other side, and it flipped the rock, and then the rock flew up and smashed his face. You know, and he's like, oh, shut. Well, I was about to anyway, so I guess this is fine.
He declares that he's going to execute everybody in Sodom and Gomorrah. He says, I must go down and see if the outcry that has risen up to me is as what it seems, and then I will know. Like, God keeps employing this idea that he has information he needs to obtain, and those are things that happens in sequences.
Yeah, so I don't see this as information God needs to obtain. I see this as his interaction with humans. I mean, that seems to be pretty obvious.
It reminds me too of like when pastors and stuff would go over, and it was like every pastor I ever saw that talked about the Adam and Eve story, they always had to bring this up, where it was like they had to make some kind of argument for like or some excuse for why God was asking where they were. Like, no, I know he's all knowing and everything, but he knew where they were. Okay. But he just wanted to see if he just wanted them to think that maybe he didn't know, so that it was a test. That's what it was. It was a test. Yeah. He was just testing the loyalty of him or something. Like, what the fuck? Like, why do y'all got to make like immediately? The Bible just starts and they're already making excuses for him that he doesn't logically line up with the claims that they make about him. Hold on. Emperor was saying something. Let me see here. What was it? It was a nice long one too. Oh, there we go. 2 long ones. There we go. Flip over. It said maybe there's some computational utility to causal networks. After all, we keep trying to build quantum computers to get around causal limits. Maybe the other way has benefits too. The causal kind, yeah. I think it seems to be working pretty good, honestly, for us here. Just saying, I think you might be onto something. I'm certain Isaac died in the original, not because I have evidence, but because every similar tale across all of time works the same way. Original, dead kid, edit. He lives, miracle. Oh, like when he came back to life afterwards, like the ram comes out and it's like at the end of a movie where the main character gets unalived and they're like, no, and they're like, oh man, Andy lives. This is the best ending ever. Second John, third John, we're on third. You're the third John. What's up, dude? How you doing? God's testing. God's testing will be in oral form. I remember when that freaked me out. I just thought oral meant sex something, you know, like we're going to take an oral test today. What? No. I'm not going to do that. But that's not what that word meant. But, you know, I didn't know that. What do we have? Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Exodus. Jeez Louise. What am I doing? Genesis 22:19. So Abraham returned to his boys, probably slave. Great. That's wonderful. Very moral. God, you got there. But and they got up and went together to Beersheba. Where is Isaac? Huh. They forgot about him. They just left him at that point, huh? Jesus. That's amazing. Wow.
I don't know how.
Does he know?
Yeah, of course.
Then why does he say, then I will know?
He already knew before he knew. What do you mean? He had to know about knowing that he knew. Once he knew that he knew that he knew. He didn't know that he knew, you know? He thought maybe he knew, but.
Because he's writing for humans.
But he could have just said, I already knew.
What? See, this is the thing with communication. I'm sure you can understand this as well.
This is the thing with the concept of communication. Oh my God, dude.
Well, if you wanted to communicate a very complex idea to somebody who didn't know it, would you? I mean, you would bore people to death. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't have many people be hanging out. So, if in the Pentateuch, in these verses that you're offering here as evidence of, well, God must think discursively, and he changes his mind about things. He's very human-like.
Exodus 32, he does.
Well, if that's the case, we can easily say that that's wrong because God has these other attributes, namely of being no, I'm saying that's wrong. I'm saying that interpretation is wrong. Namely because we already know that God is the creator of the universe.
We do. We do. We already know that.
We don't know
God
that.
is absolute being within the Christian.
Well, if you already decide that, then you know that because you decided that you know that shit.
Well, but this is what the worldview you're attacking is, correct?
So this is my favorite thing about talking to philosophers is the God that you've dreamed up through some philosophy is not the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible doesn't know everything. The God of the Bible does change his mind. Do you want to see exactly where?
Go for it.
Okay. We're going to go to Exodus 32. It clearly states that he changed his mind. This is after the golden calf incident, right?
Oh, that damn golden calf incident that defies all logic. Holy shit. What the hell kind of simple people? Would they like goldfish memory people? There's like, I forgot what's been happening this whole time. Guys want to worship a calf? They're like, yeah, calf, let's do that. We got to worship stuff. Blah, blah, blah. We can't just be not worshiping. What's going on here?
Give me 1 second to grab the passage. Although I think in the King James it says repented, but it's the same word in Hebrew. Okay, so if you go to Exodus 32,
32 chapter 12 or verse 12
32:14, right?
and 14.
Yeah, 12 to 14 is kind of the same situation. All right. He says he's going to wipe out all these Israelites because they've, acted wickedly. And then it says the Lord changed his mind about the disaster that he planned to bring on his people. So he does change his mind.
That's
Right. So
Mount of Olives is kind of like St. Augustine. Wait, where's never mind. That St. Augustine. Wait, where did the end of Men in Black 3 happen? It's a Florida place where rockets take off. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway.
I don't see a problem here.
Cape Canaveral. That's it. Did anybody already put that in chat? Cape Canaveral. I think that's it.
Well, can an all-knowing being change his mind?
Let me ask you this, because the initial question in our conversation that you begin with is, what's your most compelling evidence for God's existence or for your God or what have you? I don't take this problematic interpretation as evidence that God does not exist.
No. I'm not saying that
there's no inference there whatsoever.
I'm not saying this
huge
proves no God
generalization
exists. I'm saying this proves that the God you think of is not the God of the book. The God of the book changes his mind.
See how they do that? See how they switch from their God to some ambiguous something that somebody might be able to categorize as a God. And then they just act like it's all the same. Like, no, I thought you were making an argument for no anythings that could be categorized by somebody as a God. It's like, we're not doing this. No. You got to stick with your God, your specific thing, because this jumping around shit ain't going to happen.
Says he changes his mind.
I don't think it does. Well, there's ways to synthesize what's being said here with what theologians have said about God.
I know what he says.
And as long as you make up shit to make the words not mean words, which is like the majority of what y'all do.
Verse 14, read it out loud.
You know this.
I do know this, which is why I know that you're wrong. Verse 14 says, Yahweh changed his mind.
I know, right? What? It's a problematic interpretation. No, you get God.
About the disaster. Did he change his mind or did he not?
So that's anthropomorphic language. I mean, why say that?
So
here
you can't answer the question,
dude. They cannot allow God to be the thing that God is in the book that they believe is about the God that they believe in, but they changed what God. It's amazing.
Why say that? I am answering the question. Why say that right here? That means literal. He changed his mind. But when he walked in the garden, that's not literal.
Well, again, I think he did walk in the garden. He does the same thing in Deuteronomy.
And he's got a face.
He does the same thing in Deuteronomy 32. So there's actually good scholarship on this. I would recommend reading When Gods Were Men by Professor Esther Hamori.
Mm-hmm.
The God and Anatomy is really good too.
So this makes God.
What's her name? I always forget her name though. What's hold on, I've got it. I'm gonna listen to it after Kip's. But I was actually listening to Dr. Kip today. It's really good. I've enjoyed it. I actually started a chapter over because I was like, I gotta hear this again. But it was good.
Into just sort of an anthropomorphic kind of member of a polytheistic pantheon or something like the Greek gods or something like very human-like.
The ancient convention of God in the ancient Near East and even in the Mediterranean were that they were somewhat like superheroes. They ate and they drank. In fact, in Exodus, the same book we were just reading, in chapter 24, God's on a mountain and they see his feet. They behold a vision of God. And
Esther, hold on, let me get. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce her name right. It's Francesca Stavropoulos. Yeah, that person. Read their book. It's good. I was actually listening to it, and then Kip's book went on the app, so switched over. Then I go back to it later. But yeah, that's how all. Wait, no, that's not the one I meant. There it is. Esther what is it? Esther Amori's work. Oh, I'll have to check them out. All right, y'all. I gotta take my little one out for a walk here, but this was fun. I actually enjoyed these. I don't know. I like the weird philosophy stuff, especially when you can whip it back into the Bible, you know, and that's why it's really fun with Justin, because he kind of understands both pretty well. A lot of times you notice that like certain you know, I don't what do you call them, like debaters, I guess, skeptic debaters, they usually have like you know, specialty, and of course Justin's is the Bible, but he's also really well versed in seems like just about everything. But yeah, really fun. Really fun so far. Maybe we can make it back to this one at some point. But like I said, if you have any debate type videos that I can cover, please put them in the Discord by that way it's by taking a picture of the screen. Or if you're watching on your phone, I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't click it because we haven't figured that out yet, how to make QR codes clickable, which is weird. No, we haven't done that yet. Oh, and yeah, please make sure you check out AJ and Misinterpretations in a few hours. Go check out that stream. That's going to be a lot of fun. I actually had a blast at Misinterpretations the other day on TikTok. We had a conversation there and got to talk to a couple theists, one of which was a pagan theist that was kind of all over the place. I'm going to be honest. I've never heard of the gods that person was talking about, but it was interesting to hear him talk about them. So anyway, all right, Joe. And I'm going to do more of those too, but I'll keep everybody posted. If you go to the Discord and become whatever there, a person that is on my Discord, I don't know what they're called, but you'll be notified when I go live different places, because that's where I notify everybody. And so that way you can keep tabs on when I go on TikTok and all that stuff. So, but thanks y'all so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. This was super fun. And if you want to play with things hanging out, well, it doesn't really make sense. I don't know why I said it like that, but go to epicwaterfilters.com and get your butt some water. Use code Ember15, you know, and you can filter the water. It's a reusable one. It's awesome, you know, very affordable, really good stuff. And the code is Ember15. So make sure you go get that stuff and use that code. You get 50% off. That's quite a bit. You know, that's half a 30, right? So I don't know if that helps anything, but go get the Epic Water Filter. They're fucking epic, dude. Fucking epic, bro. But all right, Ember15. All right, y'all. But thanks again for hanging out. This was super fun. And you know the drill. Finger that like button. I'd appreciate it. Helps the stream get out there a little bit better, right? And if you want to support the show in other ways, there's a list of shit you can do right here. And I appreciate every little bit of all of it. But you know, the main thing is to stay logical, stay loving, stay skeptical, and compassionate. And we will see you next time.
Are you about to engage in blasphemy?